Hello, thanks a lot to be there with us today for a new Campus Live session. We're going to talk about higher education in France and to introduce more specifically the MSc in Strategy and Consulting from emlyon Business School. If you have question about the program and you want some answers, don't hesitate to ask them directly on the different chat sections. To talk about the program, I'm very pleased to welcome Guillaume Carton. Hello.
Hello.
You are the program director, and we are also with Paul Saikat. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
You're a student and a program ambassador, but let's begin with a quick question for you. Guillaume, can you introduce yourself in a few words?
So my name is Guillaume Carton. I am an associate professor in strategy at emlyon Business School, and so I'm the co-director of this program.
And you, Paul, can you introduce yourself in a few words and tell us what you did before joining emlyon Business School?
So I did my bachelor's from University of Calcutta in India. The bachelor's was focused in finance and accounting. Then I went on to do my master's in again accounting and finance. Then I was working for Tata Consulting Services for almost 3 years. Then I decided to come to France and emlyon Business School.
And you are going to tell us more about your background. But before that, Guillaume Carton, can you tell us a few words about emlyon Business School, one of the oldest schools in Europe?
That's true. It's been last year. It was 150 years, and we celebrated this anniversary. So exactly, it's one of the top French business schools in different rankings. We have 9,800 students. We have different campuses. So the main one is located in Lyon, as its name. We are going to change the place of the campus, and we are constructing a new building in Lyon. And I think students will be there next year, so that's great. We also have a campus in Paris, so where this program is going to be. Also in Saint-Etienne, also in India, in Shanghai, and so on and so forth. So,
and one of the baseline of emlyon Business School is taking action. We have a little video, a little trailer to discover more, and we are going to be back just after that.
Today, taking action is about committing and understanding that the planet will be much better off when we take care of it. It is about trusting and holding out a hand to each and every one of us, because together we are stronger. Today, taking action is about giving it all you've got to make the great leap into the workforce. It is about having the courage to climb higher and see further. Today, taking action is about experimenting, innovating, daring. It is a state of mind that we cultivate together. Learning how to make a difference, here and now.
Guillaume, how long does the MSc last?
So it's 18 months, so it's basically a year, and then 4 to 6 months of internship.
And in which language is it taught?
It's in English.
Okay.
So that's why we're talking in English, I guess.
Okay, totally in English. So for international students, it's a good place to study. Why study something like the strategy and consulting in France? What is interesting about the fact of being in France for these studies?
I mean, France is a good market for strategy and for consulting. We have like big firms. We also have like all the major consulting firms like McKinsey or BCG, Deloitte, and all these firms. Capgemini is French. So maybe that's one of the reasons. And yeah.
And where are the courses located?
So they're in Paris. So as I said, we have different campuses, but it's located in Paris, so just in front of the Gare de Lyon. And it's a nice area, I guess.
Paul Saikat, maybe can you explain us why you decided to choose this MSc in France?
Yes, actually when I was working back in India, so where I was almost working for 3 years, and I decided I was more into the data analysis, data structuring, so I never got on hands-on experience on strategy. So it always used to be with the management level or the top management level. So before I wanted to enter the industry, I wanted to go in depth to know how the strategy and consulting industry actually looks like. So that was one of the major reasons I came to France, because in India there are no such courses like strategy and consulting. So that's the reason I chose emlyon, and it's really, really high ranked, and such courses are really less available to other business schools.
And did you hesitate between different countries, or was it clear in your mind that you wanted to go to France?
No, I actually wanted to come to France because the culture is different, the language is different, so it gives you a different experience, and the more the journey is tougher, the more you learn tomorrow. So it gives a very good going further. I will have a lot of experiences, and the difficulties I will face today will it more be easier tomorrow for me to be in the consulting, because consulting industry itself is very challenging in nature. So if not today, then what's the point? That's the reason.
That's really interesting. We're going maybe, Guillaume, to go deeper in the details of the program. First of all, what are the different classes that you offer?
So we have many classes. Maybe the way I can explain that is just to show how this program unfolds throughout time, if it's fine for you. So students begin by kind of mapping out what is strategy. So basically it's the bread and butter of strategy, like kind of the basics. And one main class here, just to give you an example, is a class called Constantly Challenge. So the idea is very simple, but it's very difficult at the same time. So it's a 4-month class, and the idea is that students at that time, they have to deliver within 4 months like a PowerPoint slides to a CEO, and just, okay, what is your problem and how am I going to solve it? So quite easy, but in fact, it's quite difficult, I guess. So this is just the first trimester. Then the other idea is to understand how do transformation projects work, because basically strategy is done through transformation. So here you have multiple classes, and one main class here is called the Field Mission Practice Group. So basically our students spend 4 months, so from January to April, 2 days a week within firms to work. So big firms, small firms. Some are in France, others are abroad. And they practice strategy, they practice consulting, they have clients. And the idea is that beside this class, we just kind of help them understand what's going on. We just follow up and these kind of things. Then the program ends by going to Montreal. So we have a partnership with HEC Montreal. So students go there. The idea is just to open up the mind, seeing what is strategy out there. So in America. Then we spend a week abroad. So this year it's going to be in Boston. Next year, maybe the same. I mean, Boston is quite nice. And there's the Boston Consulting Group, which has been created there, obviously. And then they go for their internship between 4 to 6 months.
The idea when you work in consulting and strategy is that you can go in different universe, like you can work for different kind of firms. Do you help them know more about the market, having like a culture about different subjects to be able then to work in any kind of company?
Yeah, so if I understand well your question, the idea is that the majority of the students will go into the big strategy firms, the big consulting firms. So we have like the big names, BCG, McKinsey, Bain. We also have these big four. We also have all different firms in different countries. They also can work in the strategy departments of organization. Some students also go to startups. So this is kind of the broad idea, but it's always the idea for us. Strategy is kind of a mindset. So they apply this mindset, so either in consulting firms or in organization, NGOs and startups.
Paul, Saikat, from all the different classes that you have, what would be your favorite class and why?
I actually have 2 favorite classes, to be honest. So one was the business game, which we just recently have. And it was like a simulation game, so where we are competing with the other groups, and it was an industrial level challenge. So it was very nice, and it was actually fun class. And other one was the industrial organization. I really enjoyed it because in that, after a long time, I got back into economics, and also we were also taught about the game theory. So game theory, I always wanted to learn, but I never got the opportunity to know about game theory. So that's the reason I say these are the 2 favorite subjects.
Is it one of the class that you teach?
It's sad because it's none of my classes.
Okay, so
That's fine.
but
It's colleagues I like as well, so it's fine.
do you have projects related to the professional world? Because you just told us about the fact that they are going to some companies, so it's really important for you to have the professional world inside the program.
Exactly. I think that's one point. I think we one baseline of the school is also early makers. So we are really in this idea of making things. And I think our students, we really have like experiential classes. So I gave you like a few of them. The business game is another one that Paul Saikat just gave us. But yeah, we are really into the practice of strategy and the practice of consulting.
And is it possible to learn French for not French speaker during the program?
Exactly. So it's possible. I mean, but it's going to be, I mean, it's possible to learn French to be able to buy the baguette in the boulangerie. So that's typical. That's completely possible. I'm not sure that at the end they'll be very fluent in French by having few hours a week, but yeah, it's possible.
We're now going to talk about the different steps to apply to the program, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to keep on asking them on the different chat sections. What background do you require to study consulting and strategy? What are you looking for in terms of background?
So we look for any background. In fact, what we look for is for diversity in background. So it's more difficult for that. So for instance, engineers are a really good profile for us. People who have studied in pharmacy, in medicine are a very good profile as well. But obviously, main people from the past cohorts come from economics background, business background, social sciences, political science. So basically the idea that students all together, they learn from each other, from what they've done. And as they do a lot of work in group, during this teamwork, they there's a kind of a blending, in fact, of competencies. So that's it.
But if you're looking for different backgrounds, what are maybe the keys to be a good student? What are you looking really deeply inside to know that a candidate could be a good student?
That's a good question. So what we look for, the first point is they need to be able to speak English very well. That's really, if they're not able to speak English, we're just not going to look at the application. All classes are in English. It's fine if they don't speak French, but they need to be able to speak English. So it doesn't make a coincidence, I do agree with you. Then we are looking, in fact, for kind of a motivation, trying to understand why they are interested in that program, what is strategy for them, why they are there. So in fact, I guess we're going to talk about that afterwards, but they're going to have a video and to write some words. So here they need to show why they want to be there. We're also looking for students who have some experience, so not obviously always in consulting, but some business experience, anywhere few experiences, just who've done something, who have like faced some difficulties, struggling in the office somewhere, having faced the real life of business. This way they're going to be able to exchange and talk about that during the classes. That's the idea. So I would say roughly about 6 months of experience, it would be a minimum, yeah.
You were just talking about tests, interviews. What is the process? What are the students doing to apply?
So they have to file on the internet. So I guess they go on the website of emlyon Business School. There's a file with several documents to give. I know that an English test is not mandatory, but as I said, it's better. GMAT is not mandatory, but as well, there's something which is added and that we can use ourselves. So that's a good thing. Then there are several tests, logical tests and things like that. And then, so at the end, they have a grade. So that's something we look at. And at the end, they have to write down some documents. No, not some documents. They have 3 questions to answer. Related to consulting, to what they want to do, what they think consulting is, so these kind of questions. So that's a thing to prepare, I guess. And then they have also 3 questions they need to answer to, but orally. So they have to be, it's better if they have like a suit and things like that. They are prepared for that. And they have to talk for 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, and answer that question, which relates again to their motivation, to why they are there, what they have done before, what is strategy for them, what is consulting. So these kind of ideas, basically.
Paul Saikat, how did your application process go? What is your memory and what advice would you share in order to have a good admission process?
It was actually very nostalgic, like going back to my application memory, because like the application is really really smooth. It's not something really tough, or like it's very smooth. Even if we had any questions, we can just reach out to the administration or even like the India office. I come from India, so I can just get back to the India office and they help us in any type of application process if we find any difficulties in it. So the only thing is just go fill up the application, pay the fees required, and then we just go with the digital test. Once the digital test is done, so we wait for our results, and that's how simple it is.
And you're accepted to the program or not. But if you're accepted to the MSc, you're going to study at Paris, and we have a little video to discover the Parisian campus of emlyon Business School. That's a very interesting video to discover the Parisian campus. The idea, maybe, Guillaume, is that there is everything on campus. It's a very pleasant place to study at.
I think so. I mean, I'm not a student, but I guess it's nice. It's really central to Paris. As it's said in the video, it's like 5 minutes from the train station. So, I mean, most of the faculty members come from Lyon. So it's really... for the fact, I mean, it means that they have access to like the best professors from the school, so that's really great. But then I guess we need to ask the students how we feel that. I mean, I'm not a student, so I can't say about what it is.
So, Paul, as you are a student, how do you feel in the Parisian campus and in Paris in general? Because I imagine it was your first time in France. How did it get for you?
Yeah, yes, that's true. For me, the Paris campus is really nice. It's a highly technological campus, to be honest, and we have like bubbles and everywhere to study. We have library. The classes are really, really nice. We have like, we can see the professors, like talk with them. So in terms of like the campus, it's really nice. And for the Parisian life, it's like something which I've never experienced back in India. So it's very different. The culture is different. The people are different, but the life is really good. So I have like gone to almost all the places in Paris, and it's a really beautiful city to live in.
And did you have some fears before joining the programs and coming to France? Were you afraid of some stuff, and how did it go finally?
Like first step was for me to getting into the program. So I was more happy when I got into the program, but from there the journey started. So first was the visa process. It's a long process for the students. So it's almost took me 2.5 to 3 months to get my visa. So after that, like before even I come, I knew like I was coming to a new continent, a new city, a new culture, and obviously a language is different. But I knew this before. But once I came here and I just passed few days, it was really, I would say that I got into that culture, and people are very nice here. They are very helpful. And I thought that French would have been a barrier, but it's not really. Especially into the program, everyone speaks English, and so it's not really a barrier. So I think as an international student's point of view, I think it's a good place to study.
Guillaume, there are plenty nationalities represented in the MSc, and I imagine it's a lot of different ways to work, to study. It's something interesting for the students to share and to mix the way they think, the way they see the businesses, the way they are used to managing, for instance.
I mean, I can only say yes, because that's exactly the objective we have. So maybe I just can absolve this year. We have 61 students. half of them, more than half of them, do not come from France, and I think 14 of them do not even speak French. Not at all. I mean, they are learning, but that's all. So yeah, the idea is really mixing both backgrounds. So as I said, engineers, social scientists, and I mean different things, and also nationalities. And as we have many groups, many teamwork, they just share their way to work together. And I mean, it's very interesting from my perspective to observe and to see how it works. And usually it's pretty nice. I mean, the result is nice.
Interesting to see the habits they might have depending on where they're from the world. We are now going to talk about the professional world because the idea of this program is to go inside this professional world. As you said earlier, it's possible to do a 4 or 6 months internships. How does it work? How do you help students to find opportunities? For instance?
It's not even possible. It's mandatory. So it's mandatory to do between 4 and 6 months, or so either an internship or just working, real work. How do we help them? So we have a career center, which is quite, I mean, they offer a lot of things. So I won't be able to say everything they have to help them, but they have many classes at the very beginning to help them do their CV, motivation, and all these kind of things. Then we have these kind of classes more targeted to the specificities of consulting. As you might know, if you're interested in strategy and consulting, there are like specific cases to prepare. So we prepare them to do that. So that's one thing that we have. Another way to help them is that we have like career forum where firms come to them, like all types of consulting firms. And we have 3 events a year. So one in November, one in February or January, and one in April, I think, where the students are able to meet different recruiters, talk to them, give their CV, and so on and so forth. And I guess there are many other things, but I think they have everything they need to find the best job ever for them.
The market is in need of this kind of profiles for consulting strategists. There is a demand, something really important for them.
So yeah, so at the exit, I mean, after COVID-19, for different reasons, I won't explain them all here. There were not enough consultants, so firms have been recruiting a lot. So now it's a bit decreasing, but still, I think it's still quite easy in a way to get a job. So yes, I mean, I think it's a good time to become a consultant.
Paul Saikat, are you already looking for this internship opportunity? Do you already know what you are going to do? Can you tell us a few words about that?
Yes, we have to start our internships from July. So right now I'm looking into the opportunities, and I'm looking specifically what I'm studying right now, so strategy and consulting. So there are few specific firms where I want to go, but it's obviously not an easy place to get into. But still, I would try my level best to get into that, and I'm looking forward to work in France only, or like if there is other good opportunities maybe abroad. But still, I would like to be in Europe or maybe in France.
Students can have to stay in France after graduating. Guillaume, what would be the typical career of a consultant after graduating?
So I guess there are different types of consultants. So either students stay in consulting for a very long time, so they become being consultant, then they become manager, director, and partner at the end. So within 10 years, they become 10, 15 years, they become partner. But it's a very, very intense industry, very difficult industry. You learn a lot there. And in fact, usually when you become consultant, you leave this industry after several years. You learn a lot. And then you become, I would say, kind of a strategist. I mean, working for the client, in fact, so working within firms there. So yeah, I would say the typical career would be a few years there, and then you just do something else, but you've learned a lot in this industry.
And your MSc at the emlyon Business School is a good passport to work internationally?
I hope so. I mean, yes. I mean, we have different students coming from different countries, and for some of them, they go back to their countries. So I have in mind one student last year who was from South America, and she came back to her country. Many Chinese students also go back to their countries. So yeah, it's really possible, and it's possible as well for European students to go abroad. I mean, this is totally possible.
What would be your last advice for the people watching us today and wanting to work and maybe to apply to this MSc?
That's a good question. I think if you want to join this MSc in strategy and consulting, you need to be motivated and to show it, because you're going to have to show it, to write it down and to show it in a video. And I think you need to be prepared as well, because it's going to be tough. Students they work a lot. It's a very quite intense industry, and we prepare them for that. So obviously they're going to be able to enjoy the city of Paris and so on and so forth, but they will have to work as well. So just be prepared for that. And I mean, we're ready to welcome you.
Thanks a lot, Guillaume Carton and Paul Saikat, for having been with us today, and thanks to you for having watched us. If you still have questions about this program, about emlyon Business School, don't hesitate to visit the website of emlyon Business School. See you soon on Campus France Live.